What's up, class? Happy Tuesday. Welcome back. Hope everybody's staying safe. Uh, Everybody's enjoying their little break, their time at home, making the most of it. Um, for today, it's a little different, but not that much different. We're going to be using the Google form, and we're going to go over types of conflict. So there's a bunch of different types of conflict, all right? And we're going to hop into that. Dive into the different types. So if you look at the chart, uh, it'll explain the type of conflicts that occur in everyday life, happens in other readings and books that you come across, and it's going to happen in Miracles Boys as well. Different types of conflict. You've experienced or seen many of those different types of conflicts so far through the first 5 or so chapters. So we're going to go over and review these types of conflicts. So it says types of conflict refers to the different types of struggles or problems a character can have in a story. The conflict can be external, meaning a character has a struggle with someone or something on the outside. There are three types of external conflicts. So the very first one is man versus man. All right. Man versus man is when the main character has a struggle with another person in the story. So here's a couple of examples are in the next section. It says two rivals are in competition with one another in a sport or in their career. Or a character is having problems with a bully at school. So that's man versus man, or person versus person, right? So if it's two people having issues, a bully and someone that he's picking on, that's man versus man. A real life example in sports, if you like basketball, and it's a good matchup, say it's the Chicago Bulls playing the LA Lakers, whoever the Chicago Bulls point guard has a issue or a matchup, a competition with the LA Lakers point guard. So that's man versus man. All right, just a competition between two people, or a misunderstanding, or a struggle, or problem, anything like that between two people, two human beings. That's man versus man conflict. The next one is man versus nature. So that is the main character struggles with a particular force of nature, such as a storm, animal, things like that. So like natural things. If a tree branch happens to fall and almost hit someone, that's man versus nature. If you're out in a boat in the water and waves start just swooshing in everywhere, that's man versus nature. If you're hunting and you're in the forest, trying to hunt down some deer or something to eat, that's man versus nature. All right, so a couple of examples that's listed is a woman is trying to save her family from being harmed or separated during a vicious hurricane, or a man is stranded on a deserted island and is trying to survive. That's man versus nature. The last one right here in this row is man versus society. And man versus society is when the main character goes against a societal when the main character goes against societal norms or laws, and it causes a struggle. So a couple of examples. It says Katniss Everdeen is trying to beat the Hunger Games in an effort to save the districts from death and destruction. Or a black boy refusing to use the colored only water fountain during the 1960s. All right, so that's going against the societal norm. Are societal norms always right? No, absolutely not, because it definitely wasn't right for folks to say, colored only water fountains, saying that black folks or colored folks couldn't use, a whites only water fountain, or, the separation and segregation between races, right? That was a societal norm, but it was not right, but it was just a societal norm. So that's man versus society. Conflicts can also be internal. So internal means what? External is like outside of your control, right? Internal is inside yourself, so you can have battle with yourself. So man versus self, right? Almost everyone has internal battles. It's an internal battle on what you should wear today, or what you should do if you have a lot of options. All right. So when a character has a struggle within him or herself, so a couple of examples. A character is trying hard to break the habit of procrastinating so she can reach her goals of opening a business. What does procrastinating mean? Procrastinating means putting something off, right? So if you constantly say, I'm going to do it later, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Like a lot of people probably procrastinate to clean the dishes. I know I do. Procrastinate to fold your laundry after you get it out of the dryer. Procrastinate to do your homework or do your online remote work during this time that we're not physically in school. So procrastination is when you're just simply putting something off, all right? So I don't know if I read the second example here. I'm going to read it again. A character is trying to make a really important decision in a story, all right? So that's man versus self. Those are the two examples for man versus self. So next we have a few, about 4 or 5 or so questions or example scenarios. And I want you to answer if it's man versus man, is it man versus nature, man versus society, or man versus self. Which is it? So just select the one that answers the best. All right, which one fits the best? So the first one says, after years of saving money, John bought his dream home. It was a 2-story beach house in a secluded area. John thought it was absolutely perfect until he noticed the termites. First there were just a few nibbling away at the back deck, but soon there were thousands. This is the story of how John went to war with the termites, a war that he eventually won, but one that cost him his dream home. All right. So, is that man versus man, man versus nature, man versus society, man versus self? Remember, reference the chart up top for the example so you can see which one that is most alike. The next question, or next scenario rather, it's Carly's 8th grade year and she wants to graduate more than anything else. Unfortunately, she's been playing in her reading class and now she's backed into a corner. She has to get a perfect score on the final exam or she won't graduate. With the help of a foreign exchange student whom she calls Beans, Carly studies harder than ever before. Will it be enough? So in this situation, is that man versus man? Is that Carly versus herself? Is it Carly versus nature? Carly versus society? Or Carly versus, I said man versus man. Is that Carly versus somebody else? That's for man versus man. And then man versus self, is that Carly versus herself? So the last one is Carly versus herself. The first one is Carly versus someone else. Is it Carly versus her professor or her teacher? I don't know. The next one, Linda wants nothing more than to see her children happy, but her youngest has asked for a RoboKite, the hottest toy of this holiday season. After many hours of searching, Linda finally finds one at a department store, but Bruce finds it at the same time. And his son Robert wants it equally bad. So that somebody else found it as well. Join Linda as she battles with Bruce to acquire a hot consumer item and learns a lesson about life and the holiday spirit along the way. So is that man versus man, man versus nature, man versus society, or man versus self? Alright, got a few more actually. So this one's about Annie. Annie and her family lives on a farm in rural Kansas. Rural means like beyond the suburbs, right? It's kind of like small towns where you think about like farms and things like that, where there's not a lot of people most times. So she lives in rural Kansas. Kansas is a state, by the way. When a huge storm rolls in suddenly, she and her family must retreat to the shelter, but all the animals are out grazing. Worse still, a tornado has been spotted in their area. Will Annie and her family be able to rustle the livestock into the barn in time? Is that man versus man, man versus nature, man versus society, or man versus self? Remember, we're talking about tornado happening. Next one. Freddie just turned 16 and he wants a car badly, so he starts mowing lawns and landscaping to earn money with his neighbor Eric. After a few days working together, Freddie and Eric have a disagreement, and Eric leaves to start his own company. Now the former friends are competing ferociously for work in their neighborhood. Things take a turn for the worse when Eric starts sabotaging Freddie's operation. Sabotaging means like ruining it on purpose, like doing things to make it, fall apart. Will Freddie retaliate? Can the former friends reconcile? Will Freddie ever get a car? What is the situation? Is it man versus man, man versus nature, society, or self? Last one. It's the year 1847, and Hallie is tired of being treated as a second-class citizen. As a married woman, she does not have the right to own property, and she has no legal claim to any money that she earns. She and a group of concerned activists, including Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott, hold a convention in Seneca Falls, New York, with a plan to change the world. Join Hallie as she marches, lobbies, and struggles to win equal rights for her gender, one mind at a time. So what is this situation? Is this man versus man, nature, society, or self? Think about what she's fighting or who she's fighting against. Is she fighting against another person? Is she fighting against something natural, society, or herself? Is it an internal battle? So select the best answers. Good luck and have a good day. Stay safe. And do your other classworks as well, okay?